Rob G, I want to bring you in on Joel Embiid and what's happened in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Because there's a storyline here that's not good, and the NBA is going to have to address it, I
He's
guess,
been going
at some
through it.
point. Yeah, and I get it. And let me tell you, they question whether or not he wants to play or not, because he's already kind of put out there that he doesn't want to play back-to-back games and all that kind of stuff. So there's that part. But then he got into an altercation with a reporter, a guy we've had on this show many times.
Marcus Hayes.
Yeah, and a guy who's he's been around, and it's not like some guy out of nowhere and some guy who's flying off the hand. This is like the guy who's there all the time for them. So
I think
Rob
this
G,
is part of the problem, too. Go ahead, Rob G.
Sure. So as you guys mentioned, the frustrations have been boiling over for Embiid basically for months now because, he was taking a lot of heat in the Olympics for not playing for France. He was taking a lot of heat here in America because he was gimpy when he was out there, and the team was clearly better when he wasn't playing and AD was playing instead. Well, flash forward to training camp, and even though he was not on the injury report at all during preseason, the team declared preemptively that he would miss the first few weeks of the season and he would not be playing back-to-backs this season as part of a ramp-up / load management plan. So he's been kind of ornery since then. Well, things boiled over. On Thursday, actually, is when this column came out by Marcus Hayes. Part of it reads, here's the quote. Embiid consistently points to the birth of his son Arthur as the major inflection point in his basketball career. He often says that he wants to be great to leave a legacy for the boy named after his little brother, who tragically died in an automobile accident when Embiid was in his first year as a 76er. Well, in order to be great at your job, you first have to show up for work. That quote did not go over well with Embiid, and as you guys mentioned, when Embiid saw him in the locker room on Saturday, ran up on him, they had some words. It was first reported that Embiid punched him, ended up being a hard shove with one hand. People were separated. Embiid had to have security come and escort him out of the locker room. The security at one point, according to multiple reports, tried to say, hey, would you please not report this as an incident? Obviously, that could not be, done, and it had to go public. And we'll see what happens because the league is currently investigating the situation.
Well, I'm going to say this as a reporter and a guy who's been doing it for almost 40 years, and I've been in every locker room, every situation as a columnist in Detroit and New York, and I've had to write those columns and whatnot. A player can never put his hands on a reporter. It's just, I don't care what you don't like or you want to have a conversation. I've had people scream on me and all that kind of stuff, and I'm fine with that because I'll show up and I'll be in the locker room in the clubhouse to deal with that. You know what I mean? If I'm going to put my name on it and I'm going to write about somebody and say they're yay or nay or whatever it may be, you got to stand up to that. But physical altercations can never be accepted, and the NBA will have to suspend him for going physical because you put a lot of people in jeopardy, and it's just not a good look for the league. Even if you don't like, and I can understand, whenever you want to mention somebody in somebody's life, especially someone who's passed, that's a tough pill to swallow or have to relive, and maybe could have still made the point without going that route. So I'm not saying that was the best way that Marcus could have written that column or whatnot, but I still will stand by Marcus that Embiid can say, hey, I want to have a conversation with you. I don't appreciate it. I once had an incident with Lou Piniella when he was the manager of the Reds where he came out of his office screaming, calling me every name in the book in front of everybody in the clubhouse, but he didn't touch me. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's a conversation to be had if you're not happy with something, but never, never, ever physical.
So I echo the sentiments of never physical, but I'll say this. I think, and Embiid said this. He said, the next time, I'm willing to take whatever consequence comes with it. And I think two things can be true. Embiid absolutely should never touch a reporter. It's not necessary. It's not worth it. But on the flip side, I think sometimes you as an individual feel like it's worth it. And like if a fan throws a beer at you, somebody could say, well, come on, it's just not a fan. It's not worth it. You're the player. That player may feel like it was worth going in there and smacking a fan. And I'm not saying you should.
I can't get with that.
Right, but listen, I'm not saying you. But everybody has a thing in their life where they go, nah, it's worth it. And when he put his brother in there with his child, the deceased brother, and I think Marcus caught the brunt of everything. I think Embiid is upset with himself and his body for giving out on him, that he's always in this injury-prone situation. I think Embiid is mad at the fans because he seems like I've given you my all, you're turning on me. I think Embiid is mad with the media for saying these things about him, but he's like, yo, I give my all. I play through injuries. I almost got my face broken twice. Like, what more do you want from me? And Marcus was that final straw on that camel's back that broke it, and he shouldn't attack him. But I think in Embiid's mind, I'll pay the fine, $100,000 or 2 game suspension, whatever, to make a point that you're not going to talk about my deceased brother. I'm not saying he should, but I'm saying I think every human has a thing that they go, I'm willing to pay the fine, the thing, suspension for this. And we all have it, whatever it may be.
I would never be physical. I'm just telling you, no matter what you said to me.
Really?
I'm dead serious because I don't think that, like I've seen guys lose their jobs doing baseball play-by-play, a physical altercation. They both lost their jobs and their careers from, or at least hurt themselves in being physical. So I do understand why there's a breaking point and you might have that conversation, or I'm never going to go and attack you and come over the table live on YouTube or whatever.
Now, but can I say this?
I'm just telling you, I wouldn't do that.
I believe you over the words, but what about the example I gave of and it's not apples to apples because we're talking about Embiid's situation, but I'm saying if you're Rob Parker is Ron Artest at the time, this is before he was Meta, and you already in a heated thing and you about to, I'm trying to be better, let me go lay down, I'm trying to be better, I'm trying, and a beer comes at you. Are you that cool, calm, and collected?
Yeah, I am.
So you're just that individual. I applaud you for that.
Because what people never like, the malice at the palace. What people don't understand, when you throw a chair into the crowd, what if you hit a 4-year-old boy in the head? I'm dead serious.
No, right.
Like you can never, ever cross that barrier no matter what. I'm dead serious. And I'm talking about, now when the fan came down on the floor.
Ron Artest, and he kind of hit him with the two-piece. Jermaine O'Neal slid into it. But Ron first. Yeah.
But now
you're in my domain.
You're in my domain. You don't climb up into. Do you see what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying. I just think
they're to protect yourself. Now someone's in the court running towards me is what I'm saying.
Oh, you're saying. Oh yeah.
That's something. That's human nature to want to protect yourself, not to go up and incite or attack someone who's in the, what I mean, like in another domain.
I completely get what you're saying. I think most people would be with you, but I do just think there's a certain point when he kind of crosses a line for people that they have. And so him already going through it, self-inflicted, his body's giving out all these things, the team's playing bad, I think they've only won 1 game, you feel like you're responsible for it. And then you got this guy who he mentioned, he said, you're always doing this. So have a history of maybe them going at it. And then you mentioned my deceased brother and you mentioned my child. I see that happening. Not the right thing to do. Philadelphia has to suspend him for whatever it is, a game or 2. The NBA has to come down and fine him and suspend him because you can't set this precedent of, hey, you don't like what a guy said about you in an article or column, then you go get to push him around.
And there you go. And that's exactly what happens is you got to be careful with this because if he gets away with it, you are going to open up a floodgate.
Russell Wilson and Draymond looking like, this
I
what we
can't
can
wait
do.
to swing, right?
Yeah,
right. And even when you think about it, just be honest and think about it. And I've done it in the very seldom, in 40 years of doing this, have I seen people get physical with a writer. Do you see what I'm saying? You might scream on them, threaten them, you could threaten all that kind of stuff. But physically, like once that's crossing the barrier.
What's your boy? What was the guy? Me and Rob were talking about this. Who's the announcer? I forgot his name. Big time baseball announcer who Deion Sanders threw the whole big water cooler on him.
The late Tim McCarver.
Yeah, Tim McCarver was like,
right,
real classy, Deion, when he dumped the water cooler on him because he was talking smack.
But Deion didn't hit him over the head with the water cooler.
I don't know. Would you rather get pushed one time or get a whole water? I'm trying to do my job.
I'm talking about.
And this was not a celebration.
But I'm talking about banging his head, like taking the cooler and hitting him off. Deion wasn't that crazy. Is what I'm trying to say.
He wanted to.